Okay, green box is up, live counter is up, so we should now be live. Which of course means welcome back to the Storytime network. Let's go play with the dog. Because we are here playing Fable 2.
Stalls are now closing.
Thank you! Not like we're going to a stall. We're going to meet the hero of strength. Oh boy.
That sounds a bit above our pay grade.
It's fine. Hello, friend.
The only downside to being a monk is the food. We are encouraged to eat light. Hey, dog!
Oh, so you greet the fucking dog, but you don't greet me, huh? Huh?
I mean, in his defense, the dog is a very good boy, whereas we are kind of a mess. Just in general.
Still doesn't excuse rudeness.
It's you.
Hey, buddy.
I prayed for your return. I heard what you did in Rookridge.
Yep.
I think you could be of great use to us.
Okay.
Come, walk with me a while.
Oh, God. Well, at least the dog's getting
Now,
some exercise.
nourishing the golden acorn is done with holy water from the wellspring of light.
But why are you walking
The
into a
spring
wall?
is located in a nearby cave, which is said to be quite dangerous. Our sacred text says 2 monks.
The sacred
entered this
texts!
cave, the strongest and a second of the
Yeah.
abbot's choosing.
Have you watched
This
Star Wars:
concerns
The Last
me,
Jedi?
Especially since the strongest monk here is my
Oh,
own
yeah.
child.
The sacred text that,
So instead of a second monk,
that
I
Yoda
have chosen
saved.
to send a protector for the first. And that's
No,
you.
Luke tried to save them. Yoda literally struck it with lightning and burned it down.
Wasn't it discovered that they were actually saved and Yoda was just trolling Luke?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe if that was in some sort of expanded universe material, maybe, but like...
I feel like I remember, like,
The cave is just at the end of this road.
them going back to,
You probably passed it on your way.
going back to the ship and then finding the sacred texts, like, in a
Our
cubby.
first hero awaits us, even if they do not yet realize it.
That might be the case, but I have no idea. Oh god, I'm like... I hope this meeting with the sleep specialist will sort this out, because, like, I got, like, a full night's sleep. I'm still horrifically sleepy, though.
Ow.
The sirens of Oakvale, down by the reeds. Down
Is that
by
creepy
the
singing I hear, or is it just regular
reeds,
singing?
down
Regular
by the
singing.
reeds,
Might be drunk and singing.
swim the sirens of Oakvale out to
She seems to be holding a bottle of some sort.
down by the reeds.
I feel like it would be a bit more slurred if it was,
I knew my lovely singing voice would bring the crowds. So you're my escort then? My father said you'd be coming by.
Are you sure you need an escort?
Wait, which kind of escort are we
boy.
talking?
Hello?
The protector kind.
Oh, you're a strong, handsome.
Are you
fella.
sure?
Yes.
We do a lot of things for
I'd
money.
better having you with me in that cave. Yes, I will.
Why did we just lose 25 gold?
I'm Sister Hannah. Some people call me Hammer when they think they're being clever. They're not. But I can't do much about it because monks make a solemn vow never to bash anyone's face in.
What are the downsides of
Did
being
my
a
father
monk?
mention that? Yeah. Whatever fighting's to be done in there, it's all yours.
Alright.
We require a hero, not a pacifist monk. We'll need her to find a reason to fight.
I don't mind telling you, I'm a bit envious.
Are we tempting the nun to the dark side?
Yes.
I feel that this is potentially
It's amazing when you think about it.
problematic.
No one else has been in here.
Well, so you remember what we did last stream?
Well, no monks
Look,
anyway.
I was against that. You're the one who insisted on going all the way with
I
it.
didn't hear about it.
I thought we would have an out somewhere, not that we'd either have to break her heart or marry her.
Souls of the dead who never left this world. It's actually rather
See,
sad.
you really should have known better.
You are a quiet one.
Yep, I think silent protagonist.
You do have to wonder, like, okay,
Doggy.
here's a question.
Right. This should be the central chamber. Wow.
Amnesia
I've never seen anything like this ever.
Yeah.
Now, according to
as a
my
plot
father, we
device.
have to go
How do you
through
feel
these
about
two
it?
doors in order to collect the water. Putting weight on the pressure plates will open the doors. This one's the first.
I think it, you know, obviously, like,
There we go.
like all tropes, it's, you know, depends on how it is used, but, like, I think it is a decent way to, you know, require, or give a, reason for exposition, if a little bit obvious. But in terms of drama, yeah, it's kind of overdone for, you know, drama purposes.
Plates in this room. It'll take both of us to get the water flowing.
I
I stand here so
feel
I can
like
touch it.
calling it amnesia is in and of itself something of a misnomer. But
Oh yeah. I can
more
feel the
specifically,
sink
what
getting
I
even
feel
heavier.
is the problem
That's
is
nice,
that
perhaps. So far, this isn't too bad.
it's
A couple of steep bits, but that's it. I
usually
really hope they
too
find someone else to do
samey,
this next time. Mind
if you know what
I'll
I'm
be an old
saying.
lady by then,
Yeah.
so I'm probably off the hook.
Right? Because,
You
like,
know, this is probably going to be the
it's
highlight
one
of my
thing if the
life.
amnesia is,
I carried a jug through a cave. Hardly epic
just
heroine
like
stuff,
it's
is it?
done
Did
with
you hear
a
something?
purpose, or if it,
No.
like,
Probably just my
is in
imagination.
any way interesting.
Mm.
But I feel like
Don't
it's
talk much,
always,
do you?
it presents itself in the same way every
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I
And
reckon
that's
all the
that's
water
the
we'll get
biggest
for this
problem with
one.
it, I think.
Ah, new enemy. Oh boy.
Oh no, it's an escort mission.
Fireball. Fireball.
This is where you come in, right?
Yep, don't worry.
Okay, it's magic is a little overpowered, huh?
Just a little.
These suckers I didn't know they
Because,
did
like,
that.
like, it's one thing if you can, if you have to, like, have a cooldown or a resource system, but you can just spam it. Like, I don't see why you would do anything but just spam your magic. Is there, like, a chain lightning spell?
Maybe.
And another hollow man bites the dust.
Because if you do eventually get some sort of chain lightning, then you can kind of just spam people to death.
Yeah. I know carrying a heavy jug of water, but if you could move just a little quicker, that would be nice. Come on, keep moving. Not got all day here. Who's a good boy?
Our dog is, in fact, more or less the goodest boy.
Yeah.
Have you ever fought them before?
Nope.
Sure looked like you had. That or you're a very fast learner. I don't see any wisps now. And no hollow men followed us.
We have to do that
So-
2 more times.
Alright.
Are you familiar with the 2 kinds of amnesia that actually exist?
I don't believe so, no.
So there's retrograde and anterograde. Retrograde is the kind that is the Hollywood amnesia where you forget
I'll stand
everything
by the
from
fountain to
before.
drink the water, same as before.
And it is actually incredibly rare. Like, it's much, much rarer than the alternative.
Yeah.
You'd think they would have made this
Anterograde amnesia is actually hell.
But as it is, it
Because you remember everything from before, but you lose the ability to form new memories. Have you ever watched 51st Dates?
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Great shot.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's actually nightmarish, because, like, there's this one thing I saw, like, in our class that is about a dude who had anterograde amnesia, and it varies. Like, in 51st Dates, it was, like, a day, and then the short-term to long-term process failed. The real-life dude, his memory lasted all of 2 minutes,
Wow.
which is just hell, and believe me, he was not a fan.
Hmm.
Because, like, he had a journal in which it was just, I have just woken up, repeated every 2 minutes, forever. Like, can you imagine just how awful that would be in general?
Yeah. I mean, just anything going wrong with your memories in general is just awful.
It's terrifying. And, it's really, really hard to reconcile this idea that there's something wrong, and you know there's something wrong, but you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the more common kind, which is terrifying in and of itself.
Should only be one room left to go. So we're nearly
But
finished.
yeah, it's just it seems like one of those things that would be interesting in a work of fiction if you actually did it like that, but
Mhm.
it's just so much harder to write.
Yeah. Just give me a second. I just want to check something.
Now,
Where on earth?
I did actually consider doing an amnesiac protagonist for one of my stories,
Do you think he's alright?
but I'm not sure how to
Getting worried now.
properly manage the different, like how to make it its own sort of
Yeah.
deal. Right? It's like one of those things that you don't really think about, but it's a lot harder than it might initially seem.
What you got there?
Looks like a skull.
Ugh,
Good boy.
disgusting.
Such a good boy bringing us a
Oh
skull.
no, but you're a good dog for attacking him. Who's a good boy? Who tears their heads off all
Now the
over?
real question is, where did he get that skull?
Is it you? Is it you, boy?
Clearly there's a
Like
hollow
the
over there
companion you've
that
Remind me
he
not
just,
to let
you
him
know,
hit me again.
murdered the fuck out of.
Shall we?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Out of curiosity, does the dog actually murder?
I think he can if you,
Spec into it?
no, if you, like, knock somebody down.
Oh, he just mauls them?
Yeah.
I've never seen someone use boys before. That one was a bugger, wasn't it? You got him.
Yeah, we got level 2 Inferno now. Ow.
Yes, because it wasn't overpowered enough as it is.
Yeah. To be fair, now it takes, charging.
How did you do that?
Ow.
Didn't even touch him. That was great. Killed it with one blow.
God damn it.
Boy, that looks like fun.
Oh, for God's sake.
Hey, you're good at this. Monks like to talk about higher powers, but they can't do that. Ooh, a few more of those and he'll be dead. That was really impressive.
Oh. I guess we know where,
You can get us out of here, can't you? Good, just keep willing them away. or
Yep.
whatever that's called.
Thankfully, he doesn't know where we are. So I think he's figured it out, but he's moving slowly. Oh. That he can use magic as well seems a little unfair.
Nice one. Hey, you don't have any
Yeah, we're the only ones who are supposed to be overpowered.
Yeah. There we go.
That was amazing. He killed a lot of them.
That could have been difficult if he knew where he was actually
I was
hitting.
worried for a moment there. Well, for several.
But
Yeah,
no.
it turns out when the enemy doesn't know how to, when the enemy has stormtrooper aim,
Brilliant.
well, there's a reason the rebels won.
It's not even Stormtrooper aim. When the enemy has no head and therefore cannot see, yeah, it's a relatively easy
I
fight.
said that before, but hopefully this time it's true.
You don't need a
I
head
think
to
that's
see.
the last plate over there. Lords of Light, bless this water.
I mean, assuming you
But
don't
with it
have,
we
like,
may give
Pan's
rise to
Labyrinth
new
eyeballs
life
in your
once more.
palms.
As new life rises, so shall we.
Now, on the subject of eyeballs in your palms, why do you think people don't do that sort of thing more often?
Sister Hannah.
What, have
Brother Robbie?
characters with
What is it?
eyes in their palms?
It's your father. One of Lucian's
Or just
men.
like
He's holding him hostage at the temple.
different
He's got a gun.
body structure in general.
I have to save my father.
Um,
Come on, we have to get to the temple.
I wonder if there's an element of,
One of Lucian's agents
it's
is sent
considered
to the
body
temple.
horror.
Go after her.
You know, unless you're actually, you know, trying to do that, you don't want to invoke it.
Why not, though? I feel like the occasional invocation of body horror isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's like, I'm always of the opinion that there shouldn't be like a dedicated like set of tropes limited to good guys and bad guys, if you know, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
Father, are you okay?
Like, I am always of the opinion, why not have body horror
You're
scary
coming with me,
protagonists?
or he dies.
Like hell I am. You let him go before I break you in half.
Wait up!
No!
Oh boy. I feel like that might be a bit more impactful if we were there for it instead of stopping for treasure.
Don't make me kill you too.
Oh jeez. You okay?
Father! I could have stopped him! You idiot! You stupid fool!
He looks like he has a katana.
I could have stopped him before he...
Is that guy?
Is this the breaking of the pacifism moment?
Appears so, yeah.
I'm sorry, Father. Not that I broke my vow. I'm sorry I didn't break it sooner. I never did fit in at this place. We both knew that. And now I'm making a new vow. Lucian will die for what he did to you. I won't break this one.
Sister Hannah, the blessing.
Dude, stop laughing.
Like,
You're making
this
me want to do
is-
it more.
As new life rises, so
this
shall
is just
we.
vaguely
As the
disrespectful,
seed
and I
returns
love
to
it.
the
I'm
earth,
here for it. I just...
So do we all.
We're dancing for him.
Be quiet.
Is that it then?
What?
My father's gone. The golden oak is flourishing again. So now life just goes on as before, does it?
No?
The other monks may believe that, but your eyes have been opened.
Where did you come from? Who are you?
Someone who can tell you much about Lucian.
So you
Where he is,
you asked me how
what
it
his
was
plans and how you can gain
how the
your
cloud
revenge.
gaming thing was playing
will
last
listen.
time, Fuzzy.
will
Yeah,
tell you
I
everything.
noticed the scan
Come
lines.
with me,
Yeah,
Sister
apparently
Hannah.
Call me
if your internet
Hannah.
isn't entirely up to snuff, which I don't know why this is happening, but if it's not, you get a sort of a CRTV effect.
I've taken Hammer to the guild. You've done well, hero. You have gathered.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a bit awkward.
And we are one step closer
But it's
to
like,
defeating Lucian's
at least
plans.
it's... How's
It will
the
take some
input
time for
delay
Hammer
and
to
stuff like
overcome her
that?
grief, and longer to
Honestly,
explain
I've
her
not
role
been.
in Lucian's
I don't think that
downfall.
there's been much of an
Perhaps this would be a
input
good
delay.
time to upgrade your equipment. I believe there is a sale in Bowerstone. It may well be worth a visit. Come back to the guild when you are ready.
I mean, there's been the expressions which have felt like really really slow, but honestly, that was probably true in the you know, on the Xbox 360 as well. Go to the Bowerstone Market. There is one downside to worshipping shadows and darkness. It's that you have to take your tea without milk.
Is that a you statement, or is that a in-game statement?
That was an
Because
in-game statement.
Maybe we can do a special.
yeah,
offer
honestly,
for
I
you.
like I'm down for a good cup of black tea on occasion, but like I want it to be more of a milkshake than tea, if you know what I'm saying. Just like
Can't say I've heard much about
cram it full of as much milk and sweetener as possible.
Yeah.
Hi there. Haven't seen you around before. A perfect hammer blow. What can I do for you today?
I mean, this isn't requiring, like, precise inputs, but, you know, I'm still managing to do it pretty well.
A good blow.
Shops closed until tomorrow.
We have the
So what
finest
interesting
product
topics
in
do you have
Closing
for us to
time
discuss,
for
Fuzzy, while I'm
all
doing this
shops.
to, you know, make some money?
I'm not
Take a
sure
look.
because I'm like I said, I am not a morning person and it's morning for me, so I am kind of out of it.
Hmm.
I I mean, in the worst case scenario, we could I could Google an interesting topic generator.
Oh, God. Have we sunk that low?
No, no, I do actually have some ideas. Specifically, have you gotten into the whole AI generated images thing?
No, because I don't think it's, like, as bad as, NFTs, but it still feels kind of scummy.
How so?
Well, you know, it has to be based on existing art.
Make a blade.
Yes.
That's how they calibrate it. And to do that, they've got to, you know, absorb basically other people's art, and therefore, you know, take from their styles.
A good strike.
Okay. Yes, I think I see where you're getting at, but continue.
You know, not to mention, it's, you know, taking business away from
You're doing
artists.
a good job.
Because you get those
That's
people, those people who always complain about commission prices, going, oh well, I'll just, you know, get an AI art piece instead.
Nice blade.
There's not much more than that. But you know, as I said, I just feel it's kind of scummy, and you know,
It's one complete blade.
some of them have been good, but those like multi-generated ones that you know, based on the funny prompts that we got a while back that were all the rage for a while,
As long
like
as the economy
those
stays
just look
as it is,
shit.
We should be all right.
yeah,
You know how to use a hammer.
I do have some qualms, but I will say there is one bit of potential there that I don't think you've realized
Hmm.
is it kind of gives you the potential for people who
That's pretty nasty.
don't necessarily have
I'm pretty sure she's left her vows of non-violence.
King child. Hey, dog. Oh, wait. It's a dog.
you know, the ability or inclination to
Not like that.
do art,
Yeah.
to create art for like their characters and stuff,
Hmm.
if they're a writer.
Okay, in that scenario, I can understand it.
Nice bit of forging.
Like, if you're just wanting, you know, an image to use as basically a reference, then yeah, I can absolutely understand that.
Right? It's like it's good for personal use and it's good for like things where
Complete.
you've got something in mind, you just can't quite exactly figure out where and like what sort of thing you're gonna do with it.
Yeah.
A perfect hammer blow.
I might actually have a more exact website for, like, character generation. I haven't used it myself, but I do, you know, when I see those, like, on Instagram, those, you know, oh, top 10 websites that a writer
You hit
needs, I
straight.
do, you know, try and keep a track of them. just to if I ever remember to actually, use it.
Yeah, it's very difficult to tell exactly what direction this is going to go, especially because you also have to consider,
In this town.
did the people who provide the art consent?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There are absolutely, people who have had their art stolen to improve AI art, which is going to steal their business in the first place.
I really knows hair. No need to go far for that. There's a shop in town. Anything as long as it's cold.
As I said, not as bad as NFTs by any stretch, but I do think there's definitely, kinks to work out. Time is it? Wait a second.
Looking for a new addiction? Try my game.
Oh boy, our will lines have already started to show up.
Oh dear.
As luck would have it.
Right, we should be able to get the new longsword.
Maybe we can do a special offer.
Yeah,
for
still
you.
longsword.
It's a bargain at that price.
Let's sell this stuff.
Come back if you have anything else to sell.
Alright. I'll do. Maybe we should, explore and try and find some quests. Rather than just go straight to the story. Oh, small child. Again, who's... Is the missus just taking 25 gold from us, like, periodically?
I think that might be the case, actually, now that I think about it.
What would you like today?
Oh, hey. Hi, fellas. Yeah, this was a mistake on your part. Far easier targets than us.
Is this a
Hello?
thespian appearing in our midst? Someone who has experienced life who can complement my words with a worthy performance?
Maybe?
I am Albion's finest tragedian, author of 7,452 plays, and I am now putting the finishing touches on my crowning masterwork.
Right.
Perhaps you could assist me.
Sure, this couldn't possibly go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
All I have to do is accompany each of my lines with an appropriate expression. Just let the power of my imagery guide
What
Um,
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Rupert was perambulating down the street with his friend when he burst out
Now-
laughing. I'm afraid my artistry
Now, I'm sure you're aware of the whole yes and no but scenario, where yes and is the improv thing and no but is the writer thing.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's sometimes worthwhile to just not do that and just let your characters just have something for once in their lives?
I mean, yes, but it has to happen at like certain times during a during a narrative.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just be doing it willy-nilly.
Oh, hey.
Oh, did you get an achievement?
Yep. Fetch the ball, doggy. Oh boy, that was far. Fetch the ball. Fetch the ball. Stupid fucking beetles.
Okay, I thought you were talking to the dog for a second, and I was about to
No.
say some words.
I love the dog, but these beetles are annoying.
And I'm still so mad. This is like horrifically off topic. I'm just still so mad that Harry Potter somehow became a massive cultural touchstone.
Yeah.
Like, why? What possible reason is there that that would be as popular as it is?
I can understand to an extent, you know, it being popular with kids, because the first two are, you know, perfectly serviceable children's novels. In particular. And, like... So I can, you know, I can understand that to an extent. I just don't know why it, you know, found such a big following amongst, you know, adult fans. Oh boy. I think we're nearby the camp. So let's leave. Let's go to Brightwood. But yeah, it is confusing to a certain extent. What is a boy? Alright. You know, all the more frustrating given what Jowling, Cowling, Rowling has decided to do with her time now. Why did you draw your gun? What are you shooting? Andy the Sheriff, what are you shooting? Oh, those guys. I got confused as to why Andy the Sheriff was just randomly shooting, and now it seems we're being attacked by bandits and hobs.
For a second there, I thought you said bandits and hogs, and I was like, well, guess you gotta get out the old AR-15.
Yep.
Okay, here's a trope that I'm really not a fan of.
Oh.
Ancient, like, incredibly long-lived civilizations that somehow still maintain, like, a medieval level of technology. Like those fantasy worlds that last for tens of thousands of years, and where the civilizations last tens of thousands of years, and somehow they're still, like, don't have proper indoor plumbing.
Well, don't you know, Fuzzy? Technology doesn't work with magic.
That's one of the laziest excuses a lot of the time. With the exception of urban fantasy, because it actually like serves a purpose in urban fantasy. But in terms of like straight up fantasy stories where that's the excuse given, I just cannot stand it.
I mean, you know, technology does not work with does not work with magic is what I was actually told in by a lecturer in feedback to one of my chapters. That was like, it's the modern day. You know, magic is not that widespread. Fuck it, my character's having a phone. Why wouldn't he?
And your lecturer took offense to that?
Yeah, he like tried to fantasyify it. Like, five
Yeah, that's
keys.
just dumb. I don't know what purpose that serves.
Like, the way he put it was that a world with magic would not develop the same way technologically.
And that is the biggest excuse I see. And the more I study like the evolution of technology and like the history of so okay, the reason I'm saying I'm probably getting into this is because one of my courses this semester is the history of science and technology
Right.
and how it's shaped the world and how and like another one of my courses is the impact of science and technology. And those two courses in combination basically tell me that as long as the society in question has enough in common with humanity, which it usually does for like reasons of easier understanding, then there are patterns that societies follow. And as long as there's even the slightest hint of like, as long as the society is not entirely 100% religiously and spiritually focused, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to develop like technology and like the scientific method. That's just how civilizations work, and this is something we have like scientific proof for lack of a better word.
Well,
and that's why it's like, yeah, I get it. Certain archetypes of fantasy civilizations would absolutely not develop technology or the scientific method or like most of the things that we develop.
Yeah.
However, if it's similar enough to a certain subset of civilizations, which most of these stories are, it makes no sense for it not to be the case.
Also, this game is just slots, which is the worst kind of gambling you can do.
Oh no. Yeah, I like it when the game at least gives you some semblance of strategic thinking. I think I don't gamble, and I never will, but I think the one I could get behind the most would be blackjack. Because you actually, like, there's room there for thought.
Yeah. But yeah, like, But the other thing is that, you know, in urban fantasy, like, very often there is, you know, the masquerade. Like, magic is not, like, an open facet of society. And so, in that sense, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, how much magic there is in the world, because, you know, if it's not being shared openly, then it's not going to affect how technology progresses.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, if you actually understand how civilizations develop, you would not say that they wouldn't eventually develop technology, because they would. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
It's just something that would absolutely happen
Mm-hmm.
in reality.
Ooh.
And that is part of the reason I'm still leery about formal writing programs.
Mm.
Because, like, to a certain extent, yeah, that's how, that's the general consensus, is
There, adventurer?
that technology and magic are incompatible. The problem is, if you go by the general consensus, then why are you a writer?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why are you claiming to be a creative if all you do is just, like, follow everything that exists? There's some tropes that you absolutely should follow because they exist for a reason, but there are some cases where it's just like you are doing yourself a disservice as a writer if you're not trying something different.
Yeah. No, there is absolutely an element of, you know, you have to think for yourself. Otherwise, you know, what's the point if you're just letting, you know, letting other people and trends dictate what you write.
I'm gonna skin you where you stand. I call dibs on his tail.
Did he just threaten our dog?
I'm not sure.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
But they ain't gonna be threatening anybody anymore, so fuck them. But yeah, that's definitely a piece of feedback that I got that really frustrated me. Because even when I explained it, like, he still persisted in saying, yeah, but you should still do this my way. And it's like, no. There's a very good reason I'm doing it this particular way. I've explained that way to you. Like, you know, if you want to write your stories with, like, here's another thing. You know, I had oh, hi friend. Yeah. I had cops in my setting, and he was like, "Oh, well, you know, maybe make them town guards instead, or something like that." It's like, why?
More gold for the rest of us, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like my man's has played too much D&D at that point. Also, town guard, like, cops are a thing that have existed for, like, centuries.
Yeah.
Never liked him anyway.
It's, like, not interesting to just, like, call them town, like... At that point, you're fantasifying it for the sake of fantasifying. Like, that's, like... It's one of those things where there's some people who have, like, no respect for fantasy as a genre, and then there's some people who have too much respect for fantasy as a genre.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are definitely genre conventions in fantasy that are just dumb and shouldn't, like, be there, and you shouldn't encourage them. So it absolutely makes sense to me to keep some of those things away. Like, I mean, the name of the game is nuance,
Yeah.
right?
Can't we just call
And
it
it's obviously it's like easier said than done, like. But I do think it's not like this is something impossible by any stretch of the imagination. It's just you need to be a bit careful with some of these things.
You haven't killed us all yet.
Like, you have to be careful that you don't go too far, but you also have to be careful that you don't go far enough.
Get off me, you damn mutt! Take cover!
What is it, boy? Is old Timmy stuck down the well? But yeah, it was very much a case of, some of this advice I do definitely appreciate because, I'm not, obviously not a professional. I need to know how to, structure things. But, that felt like a very nitpicky, like personal nitpicky thing.
And that's the issue, isn't it? Is like sometimes, like, for lecturers and teachers, they're human beings, and sometimes they allow their own biases to interfere with their teaching, which is not really ideal.
Yeah.
Come on, boys! I was gonna kill you quick, but not. If there's one thing I can't bloody stand, it's magic.
Then you're in the wrong type of world.
Like I've told you, I've had the opposite experience, right, with my own writer's craft teacher, which I will never get over, is the fact that he just like. I also had an issue at one point where he seemed to have an issue with suspension of disbelief, in that when I did exposition about the fantasy elements, he kind of like was like, well, there's too much exposition here. But when I didn't do the exposition, he's like, but you have to explain these fantasy elements.
Yeah.
Which was exactly as frustrating as I'm sure you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were like, there's a certain thing that as a reader, this is something you learn as a reader of fantasy more than anything else. But as a reader of fantasy, you kind of learn that there's some things you have to take at face value, and you do take them at face value. Like, there are certain tropes that are universal enough that if you don't understand them without them being explained to you, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
At that point, that's not an author problem anymore. Can you think of any of those off the top of your head?
Actually, I can. Well, it's not so much in the sense of, oh, it's a you problem. But, going back to, we discussed it earlier, Harry Potter. um, Rowling took from traditional fantasy tropes quite heavily. In particular, this is one that got her in trouble because of what she did, is goblins. She doesn't describe the goblins very much at any point in any of her books. She just calls them goblins and expects you to know what a goblin is.
And the thing is, that's not really a Rowling problem, because, like, most people just will know.
Yeah, but my point is that you have this idea of what a traditional fantasy goblin looks like, which is on its own, it's not a great look, but it's not outright and anti-Semitic. And then she made them bankers, and
Yeah, it's like, also, it's not even that, like, the goblins are the bankers being the problem. It's that they're, like, very, very anti-Semitically coded in a way that regular fantasy goblins are not.
Yes.
Like, honestly, if we're going by fantasy things originated by Grandpa Tolkien that are, like, Semitically coded, if not anti-Semitically coded, but, like, you know what I mean, Semitically coded. Dwarves, right? Tolkien's dwarves are essentially Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
To a large extent.
Yeah.
And Pratchett then went all in on that, but, like, as Pratchett does, he did it in, like, a tasteful and sensitive way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, yes, they are heavily coded in that direction, and that's not in and of itself a bad thing. But yeah, it's just one of those things where
you do have to be very aware, of the stereotypes that you are using, and what that will then, imply about, a certain race. Even when, you're putting that stereotyping on, a fictional race, you gotta do it. You gotta, basically choose which fictional race you're putting it on. Because, again, just using goblins on their own, not necessarily a bad thing. Combining, goblins with money-grubbing bankers, that's the problem. It's a very clear problem. And it says a lot about Rowling that she just didn't notice that.
I'm just, like, still can't get over the fact that she just made the goblins explicitly Semitically coded. That's not something goblins generally are.
Yeah.
Their appearance, okay, but, like, it's just one of those things that obviously it's a problem, and it's just
again,
like...
it's even worse in the one of the few times she does actually describe their appearances. She uses the word swarthy. Which is, dark-skinned.
You're gonna feel the full might of the law.
Why? I'm killing beetles. That's your job. So yeah, so she, made this banker race of goblins who were dark-skinned and also get oppressed by, 90% white wizards. Yeah.
And not the Gandalf kind.
Yeah. And, I mean, she just clearly didn't think about any of what she did in terms of world building at all. Like, that's, like, vividly apparent. And especially, her fucking naming conventions, like, Jesus Christ.
Lights out! I say, are there
She literally didn't care about anything outside of Europe.
Yeah.
Or really, outside of England, she barely cared about the stuff outside, out in the European thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the logistics make no freaking sense. In the entire continent of Europe, there's like 3 schools.
Yeah.
And yet,
It's your fault.
there's like 1 for every other continent.
Yeah. The fact that, Japan, the Koreas, China, and a few other, Asian nations are all sharing a school is like, oh boy.
Mother will kill us if she finds out. You see, we read aloud from this book we found called the Normanomicon.
You're the one who found it, remember?
Yeah, and you're the one who read... Oh,
the
never
thing
mind.
Is,
the
we
thing
sort of
is...
accidentally summoned a few hollow men.
A few hundred.
And now they have the book.
That seems like a mistake.
You need to clear the graveyard so we can get the book back and put them all back where they came from.
Okay.
Where do you think they came
But yeah, like, that's a very good point, is like, you don't really need to describe fantasy dwarves, do you?
No.
Because they're all the same. That's like on a TV tropes thing, is our dwarves are all the same, because they kind of are.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that dwarves aren't really have become something that is completely unlike what they were in original fantasy. And you know what actually made me think about that or not recently, but like really hammered that home for me?
Go on.
Are you familiar with Constantine?
Vaguely? John Constantine or a different Constantine?
Yes, John Constantine.
Okay. Yes, I'm vaguely familiar with him.
The resident bisexual disaster luck wizard.
Yeah.
Who was apparently at one point banging King Shark, canonically.
Good for him.
Which is just amazing. But yeah, there was so DC Comics Rebirth had a run of Constantine.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is that there was one part of that that involved dwarves of the Norse mythology variety.
Yeah.
And they were exactly as dwarves were in Norse mythology, i.e. nothing like the Tolkienian dwarves.
Yeah.
They were like weird, creepy little fae demon things.
Yeah.
Which is literally is what they were. And that's why I actually have a setting where I kind of lean into that a little bit. Though it's a lot harder than it seems, because part of the characteristics of the dwarves in actual traditional fantasy is how non-standardized they are.
Yeah.
Like, when the point of a race is that they're non-standard, it's kind of just like, well...
I mean,
do you know who's actually done it in a way that, it really doesn't... I don't think it's occurred to a lot of people yet?
Go on.
Butcher. Spark elves are dwarves.
Yeah.
Like, they're actual original Norse dwarves. And that's something that you really don't appreciate until you realize, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
These things are actually just dwarves, but they're also greys. You know, the, like, alien archetype.
Yeah.
Which I have to wonder if that's like he's intentionally doing a thing where they're the same thing, apparently.
I mean, you know, Butcher does like to, you know, play with how things started, and, you know, I'm sure he'd be amused to, you know, write that, oh, hey, the whole, you know, little green man archetype started because of the spot owls. These, you know...
Now here's the question, though. Does that mean they also abduct and probe people?
Probably
they
not.
do seem like like, let's be real. The Spart Elves seem like the types who would stick something up your butt without consent.
Well, in the Molly short story we got, it did say that they, what was it? Treasure Beauty?
Ooh. That has all sorts of possible implications. Some of which I'd rather not think about.
Because, like, wasn't, when Molly found him, wasn't Thomas paying off his debt in the carnal variety?
Ooh.
Again, you know,
wouldn't
there's no indication that there was, you know, lacking consent, but, we don't know, you know. Svartalfs were only properly introduced,
in Battleground, basically.
No, I mean, technically Peace Talks, then, in the main series. I think they might have...
We saw them, we met them in Cold Days, but, like...
Oh. Oh.
Also,
Right.
Mr. Ettree, isn't that one of the people introduced?
Oh,
Yes.
Here we are.
Yeah, that's like one of the guys who made, one of the two brothers who made Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
What?
It's like there's a non-zero chance that he is, in fact, the dude, one of the brothers that made Mjolnir.
Yeah, very possibly.
Which, again, it's just, there's a very, very interesting thing to me that Thor has very distinctly not shown up.
Hmm.
Which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Which, again, is like one of those things that I'm still not unconvinced that god mantles can change hands, and also Thor, like, I have to imagine there's a few gods that are just dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Such a good boy, bringing us the ball, which we can't pick up, so, you know, sort of pointless. But whatever.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Do you out of the characters we've met in the Dresden Files, who do you think are people who have, like, actually killed a god at some point? I would bet that Ebenezer has killed at least one god. It seems like it's part of the job description for him.
So, I suppose it depends on how you're defining God. Like, would you call, say, the Winter or Summer Lady a god?
I think so, yeah. They're lesser gods, but they're gods, nonetheless.
So, yeah, I could definitely see, Ebenezer having killed one of them. Honestly, I wonder if Morgan would have done it.
I don't know. Morgan, like, wasn't his thing that he was much more of a finesse guy? I feel like he wouldn't be enough of a heavy hitter.
Morgan? What?
Wait, oh
Donald
no, I'm
Morgan?
confusing Morgan with Lucio. Never mind.
I was gonna say!
Yeah,
Morgan is
look,
the definition of power!
Yeah, no, look, wardens are wardens, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I help you? Titles for sale.
Also, do you ever get those, get in a situation where, you know, you're reading a book and you imagine a character played by a certain actor or actress, and then you actually read a description of them and you're like, oh, this is nothing like what I imagined. And it's hard to reconcile
it's never
that.
an actor or actress, but I have look, this is one of the more shameful things I'm going to admit to, but I do tend to my imagination for fiction does tend towards a distinctly animated art style in a possibly Eastern Asian fashion, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
But yes, I do get the thing where I'm like, I have a picture of a character in my head, and then I'm like, and then I like read a description, and I'm like, huh. Like one of the things is there was a story that there was a web novel that I was reading for a long time that I subsequently have dropped, which is one of the few times in my life that I've actually dropped a series. But I always imagined the protagonist as being ginger. He's not. He has like black hair.
Yeah.
I just always imagined him being ginger for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
There's no like possible way that could make sense. I just imagine him as being ginger.
No, I get it, because the reason I brought it up is because talking about Morgan reminded me that when I first started reading Dresden Files, I just, like, I obviously didn't read the description of Morgan very well. Honestly, I assumed he was black, and therefore I very much saw Morgan as Lawrence Fishburne.
That's a surprisingly good casting decision, honestly.
Yeah, and then I reread the books and was like, oh shit, he's white. Okay, that's, okay. But, you know, in my mind, when, you know, when I say the word Morgan, or I hear the word Morgan, I just, you know, my mind always goes to Lawrence Fishburne.
I thought you were gonna say Morgan Freeman. Because Morgan Freeman is probably the most famous Morgan.
He is, yeah. But when I say Morgan, I mean, you know, in a Dresden context. When I hear people talking...
Oh, I thought you meant just the name Morgan.
No. When I hear, you know, when I hear people talking about Morgan, or I start talking about Morgan, Lawrence Fishburne is the actor who, you know, pops up in as my, you know, headcanon, so to speak, as somebody to play him.
Yeah, I've had similar problems before. Not specific casting, but just like getting character details completely wrong. It definitely is. It happens. I just
But it's, you know, it's a case of that's why, you know, you should let the you shouldn't hold too closely to the character description. Obviously, you know, if you can find somebody who looks exactly like the description and, you know, can embody the character, then yeah, go for them. But, you know, if I had my choice, yeah, I would fucking cast Lawrence, certainly, you know, Lawrence Fishburne of, you know, 15, 20 years ago in his, maybe a little bit after his Matrix phase.
You didn't tell me that. How are we supposed to trust him?
You know what's interesting?
Garth believed Lucian's interest in the Old Kingdom was purely academic.
It's not just his Matrix phase. Like, Lawrence Fishburne circa Hannibal was still pretty jacked.
Yeah, I would say Hannibal, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, that's my Morgan. That is my Morgan from Dresden Files.
You will find Garth in Brightwood Tower. I have seen a vision of him toiling on some ancient technology there. Surely he.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
But he cannot do so without help.
There is kind of an objectively correct casting choice for
Hammer, you should remain here.
Why?
Thomas.
I'm ready.
Oh.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh God. Oh God, you're sort of right, yeah.
Look inside your heart, you know it to be true.
Oh God, how funny would it be? just imagine like his agent calling him up, just like, look, Robert, look, Robbie, baby, I got a role for you. It's perfect for you. You are perfect for the role. It is perfect for you. There is a slight catch. Oh, what's the catch? You would be a vampire again. No, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I refuse to be a fucking vampire again.
Not only would you be a vampire, you would in fact be a
sexy vampire.
Sparkly, in fact, because, like, let's be honest, the white card vampires have been described as shining or something along those lines. It would not surprise me necessarily.
Someone or something is coming your way. I have never felt anything like it.
Interesting. But yeah, I just imagine Robert Pattinson is just like viciously, no, I am not playing vampires anymore. That fucking series nearly ruined my career. I'm still associated with it. You ever, like, read or watch any of the Twilights?
Nope. I saw the writing on the wall and was immediately like, nope.
I mean, yeah, definitely fair.
It was, like, pretty obvious to me from the get-go. Like, they came on TV occasionally, and I'm just like, nope. I would rather stare at the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, but, like, okay, let's go back to the character description thing.
Yeah.
I agree to a certain extent, like, not in terms of adaptation, but, like, in terms of, like, you shouldn't be too descriptive with exactly how you shouldn't worry too much about exactly how your characters look.
Yeah.
Because most people don't read the descriptions and just fill in the gaps on their own. Right, that's just the thing.
Yeah.
However, I do feel that there's a caveat to that. And that caveat is that I feel like there are times when a character's appearance is a distinct part of who they are.
Yes. In that sense, you do have to get, you know, somebody who can, at the very least, you know, get close to that. You know, obviously, you know, the big example is Jack Reacher, whose whole thing is being a brick fucking shithouse. Like, he is...
You're doing a good job.
He is like 6'4", 6'5", over 200 pounds. He is intimidating as fuck. And then in the first adaptation of them, they cast Tom Cruise. And, best will in the world, imposing is not the fucking word I would use to describe him.
That blade's done.
And, as a result, the character never felt right. If,
Perfect hammer blow.
Cradle ever got a live action adaptation, if Lyndon were not to be a brick shithouse, it just wouldn't work, because his whole deal...
No, he's not. It's not even that. It's not even that he's, like, buff, particularly. It's that he's just very large. Like, he's tall and he's extremely, like, intimidating.
Yeah.
Without trying to be. You don't have to be tall. Oh, you don't have to be jacked for that effect to, like, make sense.
I'm not even saying jacked. I'm just saying, he has to be big in all senses of the word.
Big and resting bitch face.
Yeah. Because again, the whole point is that people take, like, notice of him and, before even talking to him, don't like him because he is a big guy and, looks sour. And then you actually get to know him and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my apologies, please don't do anything, please, I'm so sorry.
Nice hit.
Meanwhile, Yaren, who's this tiny thing, will cut your head off.
Now that makes sense. Like, I don't think anyone would be surprised by that. Like, have you ever met a Pomeranian?
A good strike.
Yeah, Lyndon is your big old, like, Saint Bernard. And, Yaren is a Pomeranian.
It's shaping up nicely.
And Ethan is a show dog. Of some variety.
He's absolutely a poodle. Are you kidding me? He is a purebred poodle.
But he's like one of those expensive kinds of poodle that you can
Oh,
only
absolutely. He's like
get by paying like 60 grand. And the dog knows exactly what it's worth.
A good blow.
But do you have an example of, a character that needs to be cast at least close to their description, because otherwise the character doesn't work?
Huh.
A perfect hammer blow.
Now you're making me think. I'm trying to think of what I've read recently that is applicable. I mean, like, Dresden's an example by himself, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what makes casting a live-action Dresden series so hard. Because you gotta find somebody who is, 6.5 feet tall.
You're doing a good job.
I mean, while you're thinking, I can go with an example where I think they got the casting dead on right, which is, so one of the series I read as a kid was the Sharp series, which was about a soldier in Napoleonic era warfare as part of the British Army. And he was basically like a a regular soldier who got promoted to officer and then rose through the ranks. And in the TV show that they did of it, they cast Sean Bean. And it was just absolutely spot on fucking perfect.
I can definitely see how that would be pretty.
It's to the point where, you know, when I think of Sean Bean, Sharp is one of the roles I think of him in, despite the fact that I've not actually watched that many of the Sharp
A good blow.
Sharp TV show episodes.
Stalls now opening for business.
But he just feels so iconic in that role that, like,
Stalls are now opening.
and just works so well in it that I'm just like, okay, yeah.
That's a fine blade.
And I'm trying to think of other occasions where that that happened. I mean, you know, there are some times when, you know, in an adaptation, you know, the actor makes the character their own in a way that, and improves them in a way that just doesn't happen in the books. Like, in A Song of Ice and Fire, Tywin Lannister is, you know, a smart dude. He's, you know, obviously amoral, but, you know, he, you know, you definitely get the sense that he is, you know, a powerful guy. He's a smart guy, and, you know, he's almost earned his position. But then fucking Charles Dance just took it up another fucking notch in the TV show. Like, Charles Dance is just a phenomenal actor, but he just has...
You're doing a good job.
He also just has so much fucking presence to the point where when he is on screen, you fucking listen. You cannot take your eyes off him.
A good blow.
God damn
It's it's definitely something I can appreciate, but I think I'm like inherently biased in this way, in that I just am not a fan of live action adaptations, like, at all.
Mm.
Right? Like, most of the time, I'm basically of the opinion that there is no real way you're going to convince me that
Strike.
a live action adaptation is better than a what's it called, a non live action adaptation. What am I trying to say? Like an animated adaptation.
Yeah.
Because I just prefer, like, there's just certain limitations.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. You know,
It's shaping up.
you know, there are some series that, you know, just can't work because of the sheer amount of effects you'd have to add. It would just be so ridiculously expensive. Like, there's a reason why I don't think anybody can ever really, you know, see the possibility of there being a Codex Alera live action adaptation. It would just take so much work to, you know, portray the Furies properly.
It's like, which is frustrating because, like, Butcher is many things, but it seems like he missed the boat on anime for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that's one of the few. He's got a lot of pop culture knowledge just deep inside his soul, but it's just like he missed the boat on anime.
Yeah.
Because, like, I totally understand why Harry wouldn't be an anime person, like, but, like, absolutely, I think the reason he doesn't interface more with Japanese media is a Butcher thing, not a Harry thing. Because, like, manga exists.
Yeah.
I can absolutely, like, it almost feels out of character that Harry Dresden does not read a stupid amount of manga.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely his bag.
Yeah.
food anywhere.
To be fair, I'm not looking for food right now. I'm looking for clothes. Appearance shop, right? It's all the other way. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And, you know, even if Harry didn't, you know, watch anime, I feel like Molly would have.
Yeah, right? It's like... I just feel like there's a... That's one of those interesting things that you don't think about a lot, is there are times when characters do something out of character because of author biases.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, as you know, I am abhorrent of like death of the author as a concept, because I think it's incredibly reductive and it's like a disservice and disrespectful to authors who put a lot of effort and time into their works.
Yeah.
Now, there are authors who absolutely deserve to be deathed, in more ways than one. But I think for the most part, the people that are advocating most for death of the author are not the type of people who, let's say, would do it appropriately.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do feel like there are times when characters don't work as well as they could because of the author, because the author accidentally wrote things into the character that they don't make work as well as they perhaps should.
What would you like today?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're having a special on that today.
Can you think of anything along those lines?
More for your money today.
So where, like, the character, you know, does something or doesn't do something that, you know,
makes sense for them to do, and it's because of the author rather than any sort of other narrative reason.
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm trying to think. Okay, the fact that, again, I'm returning to Harry Potter, which I'm sorry for, but, the fact that Harry just...
The only person who should be sorry about Harry Potter is Rowling.
But, you know, the fact that, none of the main trio do anything about the, you know, issues in society.
Oh my.
Why can't I sleep now? It's 4 a.m. This is the time to sleep. Do I have to buy a bed?
I do agree with you, but elaborate.
Well, like... Just
one of my favorite items.
the fact that, you know, Draco Malfoy is free and clear.
Right. Yeah.
Like
the fact that yeah. Okay, the fact that like the war criminals don't get any sort of comeuppance.
Yeah.
Which is sadly reflective of reality. How familiar are you with Project MK Ultra?
Tell me what it is, and I might be familiar with it.
The LSD projects in the 60s by the CIA.
I know it was bad, but I don't think I know much more than that.
Which is funny, because that's actually right in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's history. And, like, not even ancient history, it's pretty recent history at that.
There's only... a lot happened in the 20th century, Fuzzy. There's only so much I can focus on.
You know what? That's a fair point.
So much happened.
Yeah.
Back here.
Why risk your life searching for treasure? Play a game
Like, genuinely, like... You know, I could tell you, I could tell you so much about, you know, the, about certain aspects of the 20th century, and, you know, still not even scratch the surface.
Yeah, so anyway, MK Ultra was mostly the US government being like, hey, so these Nazis who did horrible, horrible things, they made a lot of scientific advancements. What if we, like, take those Nazi scientists who have basically no sense of morality and...
I knew about that. I definitely knew about that, that, you know, that the Americans were like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, let these Nazi scientists, no, we're gonna take these Nazi scientists and trust us. We're definitely gonna punish them. Hey, do you want to work for us?
It wasn't just Nazi scientists. I believe the person involved in MK Ultra specifically, the one who really got the ball rolling, was a Japanese scientist who did horrible, horrible things to Korean and Chinese people.
Yes. Okay, Axis scientists. Let's say Axis scientists.
Yes, but yeah, MK Ultra in general was one of those.
I do vividly remember that aspect as well. That they hired some, or they took on some Japanese scientists as well who had, you know, done some fucked up shit.
Yeah, and it's just like, so yeah, war criminals get away with it all the time, sadly.
Yeah, but what does Draco Malfoy give you? What does Draco Malfoy give society?
Money, probably. Right? I'm sure if in the post-war you just, like, provide enough funding, they look the other way. But yes, it does not make sense in character.
You know, it didn't make sense in character either that, you know, fucking, whatchamacallit, Harry was never that interested in, you know, the house elf stuff.
Yeah, you're right. No, to be fair, no. Because remember, Harry is like a suburban white dude from the 90s.
How many bandits have you killed, I wonder? Must be
It's actually more unusual that Hermione gave a crap. Like, the 90s were 30 years ago, Mel.
Not the tofu.
And as unprogressive as society seems nowadays, it was worse in the 90s. Which is saying something. Yeah, it is not incredibly surprising to me that
Oh god, it's 12
the white kids didn't really give a crap.
Yeah. But Don't you know, Fuzzy? Hermione is black, right?
What are you trying to imply there?
Didn't Rowling at one point claim that Hermione was black?
Yeah, and I think she did that exclusively because of casting in like the awful play.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
she did,
But
but yeah,
it just makes things worse that she's like, oh yeah, Hermione is black or can be black, and it's like you wrote her as being poo-pooed about slavery. How can you say this?
yeah, it's one of those things. Also, if you really had that planned, you would have said something when they cast Emma Watson.
Yeah. Like, look, Rowling's
A garbage fire? Yes.
Rowling is a garbage fire, yes. Like, say what you will about her world building, like, as she was writing the books, but, it got so much worse when she finished and she just started sticking her foot in her mouth constantly.
Such sweet little kids.
Because it made it so much clearer that she just had not thought one jot about the world. And like, for better or for worse, world building is one of the things unless you're just doing a generic ass fantasy world, which, is fair enough. If you want to do that, you want to do that. But unless you're doing a world like that, you have to world build.
Oh, hello. You're new round here, aren't you?
Speaking of generic ass fantasy worlds, what are we doing in Fable right now?
I'm waiting for
see what I did there.
Yeah, I'm waiting for morning to come so that I can buy a katana.
That's brilliant.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, there are katanas in this game.
Well, I mean, smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Can I like wait?
How long have we been going, by the way?
About an hour and 3/4.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to head out soon, so I feel like we should probably wrap up.
Okay, very quickly. Let's just sleep, and then we'll go and buy the katana, and we can end that. Why can't I sleep now? It's 4 a.m. Let me sleep.
All right, Biscuit, calm down. Calm your udders, Biscuit. Dogs have udders, right? I feel like we call them udders as long as they're not like as long as they're quadrupeds, you call them udders.
I feel like udders hang down more. I feel like on a dog they would be more accurately like, and trust me, it feels weird for me to be saying this, but teats?
I was really hoping to avoid that word.
Not much I could do about it.
It's like... You know what I still can't get over?
Hmm.
is the fact that milk is apparently just modified sweat.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Great. Okay.
you know that now. You have to live with that knowledge for the
Yeah.
rest of your life now. Have you succeeded in buying the katana?
No, because I wasn't allowed to fucking sleep, so I'm trying to waste more time. I'm trying to travel some more, but it's difficult. Ooh, 500 gold. Oh god, that's 15 hours. That's too long. Time is it gonna be? If it's it's midday. That's good. It's a good amount of time.
Have you been divorced yet, or like?
No, because we keep giving her money so she's happy.
I feel like at this point you kind of just gotta bite the bullet and like make scary faces at her for a
Yeah.
few hours.
Well, since it's you, I think I can do you a special discount.
Thank you.
That's dear, but good.
Can't wait to get these out.
Excellent.
So let's just equip that. Does less damage, but fuck it, I don't care.
But it's a katana.
Yeah. Look at our katana. We're foreign.
And with that, on that potentially problematic note,
Look, these are all middle class white people. Look at them.
but yes, thank you everyone for joining us as Mill continues to dig holes.
Middle class, look.
I was speaking literally, Mill. You were digging a hole with a shovel in the game.
Middle class. Middle class.
Don't call this place the old town for nothing, you know. It's old.
Anyway, that is the end. Thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed.
And it's a town.
In terms of future stuff, Tuesday we'll be back with Mass Effect. Thursday,
And so our story
we're going to
begins.
try and continue this. Obviously, it depends on availability. Next Saturday, I believe we're doing the first of our end of year streams for 2022. So I think we're starting with video games. And then next Sunday, I think we should be back to D&D. We'll see. Otherwise, again, thank you everybody for watching. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and on Twitter at Storytime_net. And otherwise, we hope to see you on Tuesday for more Affecting the Masses Squared. Good night.
Bye-bye.